for companies that move from early stage to a bit mature, their distribution strategies might change. So what have you seen over there? What are some of the trends that you actually see over there?
I think Saad touched on some of it is where are your users? Where are your customers? And whether you're an early stage company, a mature company, or a well-established 200-year-old company, where are your users consuming the content? And one of the questions you asked, Saad, I know kind of behind the scenes was, um, what are the most effective channels for a company's growth? And my answer is kind of like Sod, you're going to hate it. It depends. Where are they? Because for a company that's a cybersecurity company that's early stage or seed, it's going to be very different than a well-established medical technology company that's been around, Eli Lilly. Well, those, yes, they're going to have some overlapping in terms of LinkedIn or whatever, because that's where most of us are sitting from a business perspective. But you're going to have to look at where your customers are choosing. Is it in a community? Is it in a very specific industry website? Whatever it happens to be. And I will certainly agree with my colleagues here that if you are early stage, more is not better. More is just more, and more is expensive. So find those few places that you can really extend that content for free for as long as you possibly can. And going back to a point that Tim made probably about 10 minutes ago with short form and long form is also figure out how you can take your content and make derivative content from that. So it's not just saving resources, time, and money and where you're putting it, but the content itself and how you're reinterpreting, repackaging, and redistributing the content you've already created. There's no reason to just continue to reinvent the wheel. And again, I think all of us on this panel seem to be on the same page. I think we're also seeing more and more of B2C tactics in the B2B space, whether that be user created content, it could be influencer marketing, it could be partner marketing that's a little more like flashy. But I always go back. I probably am like aging myself a little bit or making myself like, but I always go back to what is the strategy? What's your plan? Is it supporting it? Like, don't be doing this stuff because somebody else is doing it. Is it for your business? And to Chris's, my last point to Chris's commentary about the humor and like hitting it, also be thinking your business might not be a humorous business. So throwing out a joke could kill your brand because that is not your brand. Maybe there's a few, like if you're a funeral home, maybe there's a way to kind of leverage some levity around that at one point a year or something like that. And I'm looking forward to Chris's comments on that. But I think it's also what is your brand and what is the tone and the voice you want to put out there to ensure that you're not off-putting your customers so that maybe if you are in cybersecurity, and I know I keep coming back to that, there is places where there can be humor or some levity or some real creativity. But at the end of the day, a CISO does not want to be hauled in front of Congress. They do not want to be put on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. So they need to find trust that they're not going to get fired, they're not going to get fined, and that they're meeting all the regulations. So where do you find balance in what kind of tone of message do you put? And where do then you distribute that? I've kind of been all over the place in that answer, but there's a lot of things to be thinking through in terms of the types of content and how you can repackage it because you're early stage, have a lot of resources. Go where your customers are and be thoughtful about your message and brand. And yes, you can probably pull a few punches here and there, but if that's not the core of your brand, stick to it. Whether you're funny or contrarian or whatever it happens to be, find maybe a radius around what that brand is so that you can leverage it. But at the end of the day, you're trying to solve these people's problems. Not trying, and I'm not by any way, Chris, I'm not trying to say that funny isn't it. I want to make sure that you're not thinking like I'm hammering in on being funny,
For the
but
record, I have not told anybody to be
yeah.
funny in this panel.
Yes, I know, I know.
Question
Yes.
can't. I specifically said I do not coach people to be funny. I coach them to find the truth.
Yeah,
So I'm taking no offense.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just think those are some things to be thinking through. And it's no, there's no one size fit all. You really have to think about what's best for your business and your customer, of course.